Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Game Hub. I'm your host Gamer K, and this one is going to be a really fun video because I don't have to do any top 13 lists. I don't have to do so much research about this. These are ranking every single palace in Persona 5. The palaces are the levels within the hearts of the evil people that we are trying to stop. And the amazing worlds from Persona. I mean, I only know Persona 4 because of the anime and watching the gameplay. I've never played Persona 4. And Persona 5 was my very first one. And I love the worlds. How regular the mundane world of the city can be to the extravagant ways they can take a simple building type and fill it with so much amalgamated pandemonium awesomeness that is the corruption of the heart of the individual. And I'm going to be honest, I know this was intentional, or maybe, but every single location is something a thief can break into. I figured that was on purpose. I hope it was on purpose. Now, I'll be ranking these based on how well they do the overall story of said character with the level. The level's originality, creativity is a big part of it. What else? Originality, creativity, which is basically the same thing. How well the level foreshades the palace rulers, their desires mixed in with the world of the palace. And also, I already said originality and how well the level goes, the story, and again, my overall enjoyment. Now, forewarning, as much as amazing he is as a villain and how pretty cool the idea is, Maruki's laboratory or whatever Maruki's palace is will not be on this list because I only played the original Persona 5 and I didn't play Royal. Although, I'm not going to lie, it was a bang up final levels, like secret final level. I can't deny that. So, let's get in on this. Starting off this small ranking is surprisingly... So starting off the bottom of this list is the Bank of Gluttony. Very interesting path because, again, we don't really know what sin we're getting until we send out the calling card, per se. You know, except for Kamashi's. Oh, no, wait, that's actually not... Yeah, because the calling card says what sin they are. Except for Kamashi's palace, because, you know, that's very obvious what sin that is. Seriously, the red light districts don't have this much smut. So the Bank of Gluttony is on the bottom, and I'm not going to lie. Great ad for this. When I was thinking of gluttony, people think of gluttony and they immediately go towards food, which is a given. But gluttony can also be a overindulgence of literally anything. Like, it doesn't have just to be food. I mean, there are people who get, in this instance, Kaneshiro, who is a mob guy, is obsessed with money and milking people dry for all their worth, even if they can't. I mean, he takes out a literal suitcase of money, takes a hole out of it of money to spend on his girlfriend's new purse, and it's a small dent, and he makes us try to fill it up. And even going into his whole palace, the fact that he sees the entire district of Shibuya as his domain shows how and when I was first playing this game and everything, I was kind of wondering obviously a place where you take money and a bank, obviously. So I was wondering, okay, does he see like his hideout as the bank? But again, but no, the whole and then when they said the whole district of Shibuya as his bank, I'm like, how are they going to do that for the whole for the palace? And then when we go there and we see the walking ATM machines, it's terrifying. And then we see the colossal, giant, floating bank in the air. I gotta give it to Atlas. Their creativity knows no bounds. And the bank itself is a pretty good level, having to sneak into the offices in order to get down to the vault. So it's the main bank area, which is pretty tame for the most part, except with the security guards. And I do love the security that the shadows are actual bank security and dogs. I do like it. And then Kanashiro's shadow looking like bowl cut, thin pencil mustache, just purple people eater in a suit. Obviously, again, bank manager and everything. And it's all well and good to start it off, but the rest of the level is kind of boring at the most part, because we just go through corridors and go through rooms filled with money as we just hear him talk about how the more money you have, the more power you have and stuff like that, how he was a weakling and how now he's rough on the weak people in order to get their money and everything. There's not as many obstacles in Kanashiro's palace. And that's something that makes it the bottom part. And then the whole section about finding out the passwords. Okay, the password parts are cool. And the fact that the entire basement is a giant locking mechanism like a vault. I do love that. I do love that design. And that how everyone we unlock rotates the corridors to make the lock go. And we're basically cracking us the safe. Again, I love the synergy and the creativity of it. But it kind of is one of the easier ones and the ones that takes the least amount of time to do anything. And by that, I mean, yeah, we go through all the other rooms. We go through, like, the vault. And then afterwards, we just send the calling card afterwards. And then we're done. So, it's not like the other ones where we can't... I mean... There's not a lot of being forced out in this one as the previous two, which I do love. But if only we got a little bit more of maybe leaving the bank area and progressing through more of the city of Shibuya to kind of track down some of the people that are Kanashiro's men who are getting the money from the people. I mean, I know the money is flying upwards into the bank, but it would have been really cool to have a puzzle where we had to go back into the town and find some of his henchmen and find out some secret passageways that only they know about. Because again, Kanashiro doesn't trust anyone except his loyal men. So it would make the level a little bit better. I mean, again, concept-wise, it's good. But fully, it's definitely one of the weaker palaces. It doesn't have a lot of energetic feel to it. It doesn't have a lot of exploration is what I want to say. Whereas some of the other palaces have a little bit more to see. This one is definitely on the bottom because, again, like I just said, it feels like it's over right when it starts to get good. So, yeah, that's where I'm drawing the line at this bank. Consider him bankrupt. The second worst for me is the Palace of the Pyramid of Wrath. Yeah, Futaba's is the one that is just a smidge better than Kanashiro's palace. Again, originally, her sin was sloth, not wanting to get over her mother's death and all the voices in her head. So she sees herself entombed, and we have to help her. And I do love the pyramid theme, the Egyptian theme, because we already robbed a bank. So let's go tomb raiding. And honestly, I'm very, very, very thankful that they did no jokes incorporating this. Because they really could have made a Tomb Raider joke here, and I'm glad they didn't. The Pyramid of Wrath is definitely a fun level. I love just the scale of the pyramid itself. And as we go into it, we get to see a lot of Futaba literally put throughout the level, with a lot of the puzzles being kind of code puzzles, and all the hieroglyphics are hacker-esque, kind of with the glowing glyphs, and all the puzzles would be something that a code breaker would use to crack a password. And also the shift puzzle with the hieroglyphics of the images of her past that led her to become a shut-in, with her mom's death, her feeling ignored by her mom, and her shadow being a pharaoh, but not actively hurting us. Like, she's not the villain of this arc, which I do love the change of it. And then the parts where we have to leave the pyramid and go into the desert town to find certain keys that we need in order to progress through the pyramid. I do love that. As much as I love these puzzles in this, the pyramid kind of does, again, having the other puzzles in this level make it feel like you're an actual Tomb Raider and actually going through an ancient tomb. I kind of wish we did something where because one thing I would have loved is that we got split up with the other Phantom Thieves, and there was like a labyrinth like near the bottom, because I know the tomb is at the top of the pyramid, but it would have been great if later one of them we trapdoor, we fell, and we got separated from them, and we would have to like find them collectively throughout the maze and battle the enemies in order to get out of the pyramid. Basically kind of like a firewall that Futaba's palace is putting up against us in order to prevent us from dealing with the trauma of her mother. It would have been really, really cool, because, again, it does feel like it's, again, like Kanashiro's, it is one of the easier palaces to deal with. And that's just something I gotta say about it. I love the world, I love the level, I love the finesse of the Egyptian theme of it, and the mix between that and Futaba's hacker prowess. And especially the parts where we have to get her to open up her door in order for us to progress. I do love that. What I don't like, again, is a lot of the narrow puzzles that they do. I mean, some of the puzzles can feel a little irritating, but at least it's not like one where you have to leave the area and then come back in order to redo the puzzle. So I do like that we get a reset. So yeah, Pyramid of Wrath, second bottom on the list. Again, good design and everything, and it deals with Futaba's story perfectly. It just, a couple things could have been here or there, and I don't dislike any of these levels, but I just like some because of the grand atmosphere that some of them build. Speaking of which, I was this close to putting the Spaceport of Greed at the very bottom of this list. 100% I was going to put it at the bottom of this list, because everyone hates it, especially that airlock puzzle that drives everyone crazy. And I get it. I've been pissed off by that airlock puzzle. But overall, the spaceport has such a great theme to it. Like the sci-fi genre mixed with a food corporation, and the fact that Okumura sees all of his employees as mindless robots, and that if they don't fill their quotas or do the work, they can easily be replaced. It's a terrifying imagery that sadly is kind of true in the field. It's kind of terrifying of that kind of thing. And I do love how that this is one of the few levels to have original enemies. And it's not just, you see the workers and you rip off their masks and they become the shadows. And because we do have the employee drones, the managers, the shift managers, and the executives. I love the feel of them. I do really, really, really love the look of them and how they incorporate that into the sci-fi theme of this level. And I do love that some of them have the obvious elemental weaknesses, and it makes them because it makes the spaceport of greed a more strategic level, because you can't just account for the shadows that you'll encounter. You have to think about the robots that you'll encounter too, and how to counteract that during battle. Again, I do really, really love that. Okumura himself, having him have this kind of cheap knockoff Star Emperor kind of look with the Buzz Lightyear helmet with the Darth Vader suit. I do love it. I actually really do. Even though he's on one of the worst bosses list, he's not one of the worst bosses. And again, bosses have nothing to do. And one thing I really do love is that the spaceport is only the factory of the entire level. And I like producing more goods, building his spaceship, which, like he said, will send him into the political arena. So the entire level of the spaceport, which is his HQ, Okumura Foods, is basically just building up for his spaceship to get him to the political arena. So his entire company, his entire length of employees, all of that is just a stepping stone for him. And I love that symbolism. And even his self-destruct scenario that he did, which added to the boss fight, yeah, he's finished with the spaceport, so he doesn't need it anymore. So he's so carelessly going to destroy something that he built because it no longer served his purpose, or it served its purpose, and that's it. And I do love it. I do wish, though, that, again, that airlock puzzle wasn't as difficult as it was. But I digress. And next up is our very first level, the Castle of Lust. And it is definitely a great tutorial level. And giving us one of the most despicable characters in the Persona series. Yeah. What I dislike about the bank and the spaceport is that the story is kind of linear with them. Like, Kaneshiro, there's no big reveal about anything. There's no big thing with Okumura outside of, Black Mask killing him afterwards. After we leave and his murder being framed on us. The Castle of Lust gives us a great tutorial to the start and a great reason to absolutely hate Kamoshida. starting off in the dungeon area in the beginning and making our way through the grand castle and to the towers that are there as well, we just see the level of that this guy's lust has driven him to abusing the volleyball team and anyone who stands against him, to his depraved notions that because he's a gold medalist and bringing in so much for the school, that and like he said, the school just turned a blind eye to his inappropriate actions toward the female students. And the result that would bring us to literally trying to take him down as hard as we can. And the anime, even though people bag on the Persona 5 anime, when it came to the beginning, they kind of went more into Kamoshida's despicableness. That once you get to this boss fight, and you get to the moments where Ryuji and An awaken their personas in light of this guy's taunts, it's fantastic. It opens the door for what we can expect in this game, and I love that. And again, every single bit of this game has the epitome of his self-lust. That the grandstanding of him being the king of the school, everyone else is for his benefit and for his desires. From the giant paintings of himself in the chapel, which he sees as the volleyball court, which I like the symbolism that he sees it, to the library areas where it tells him about his life story of how great he was, to the pillars in some of the rooms where it's of women's busts. It's a great first level, and it's what builds up the rest of the game. I'm just going to say this, and it definitely gets us ready, while also not making it feel like a throwaway villain. Like, you know how some of the beginning villains kind of have not a lot of memorable aspects. Kamoshida is definitely one that every fan will hate for all the right reasons. Going even higher on this list is a theme that I really, really freaking love for the right reasons and the wrong reasons. The final level of Persona 5, Mementos, aka the Prison of Sloth. After we defeated all the main threats in the game, there's still problems going on, as everyone feels like there's a greater force still holding on to some of the people, and that everyone's desires. Mementos. So we head down into the depths of Mementos, and if you haven't been doing so during the game, you're dumb, because you're going to be losing it. In the deepest part of Mementos, we find that all of the masses are in jail cells, and that the subway that's been leading shadows all the way down here are now imprisoned, but they're not sad about it. They're ignorant about it, that they're all locked up, that their desires don't matter anymore, and that they're just willingly giving it to the center of the prison. And I do like that the prison is something a thief wouldn't really break into, per se. And then as we go down deeper and everything, and we see all the bosses that we defeated earlier, and that their corrupted desires freed them from their prison. And even though they were doing terrible things, they were free from the prison. And after we defeated them, we basically sent them right back, basically. I mean, I'm still a little iffy on that whole thing, so correct me if I'm wrong. So, yeah, we're basically told that we were just sending more people there, which kind of sucks because we were always the heroes. Another thing I do love is that right near the end of this section, we see the one jail cell where we're told holds the most dangerous prisoner in the prison, which, spoiler alert, is us. That room is the jail cell where Joker keeps meeting Igor. Yeah. We're the dangerous prisoner, which makes sense because we're the one who has the fight in us in order to break out. So basically, we're breaking in the jail to get put in the jail and then to break out of the jail. Huh. Again, you gotta love the whole synergy of it. All in all the jail cells have these tendrils that go into the deeper depths of the prison, where we see the Holy Grail, aka Yod Sabaoth, the great villain of everything, demanding that all of humanity, that he is humanity's wish. He is the one that all of their desires have been thrusted upon in order to lead their will. Because, it's not an Atlas game unless some egotistical god decides that humanity doesn't know any better, so they're just going to take over. Of course. Seriously, what is with this? Is Persona 6 going to be even worse? How? Even Persona 5 Rush did that with a human, and also Strikers did that with an artificial intelligence, thinking that humanity needs to be told what to do. I'm really starting to get the feeling that iRobot was onto something a little bit. What I love about the prison is how kind of simplistic it is. It's never told that it's a prison until at the end of the game, because Mementos has just been a subway system that we've been going deeper and deeper and deeper in order to do all the side missions and all the other missions with all of our other confidants. So the fact that it was there, right in front of us throughout the entirety of the game, is pretty amazing that they were able to keep it so tight sealed, pretty much. And I do love the Prison of Sloth. It definitely showcases the sin, having all the masses just willfully ignorant in their cells, not wanting to fight for themselves, not wanting to do anything, and just let someone else dictate what they do. And I do love the end of it after we do the whole big routing speech with our main hero as we go upwards in the real world in order to defeat the final boss. Prison of Sloth makes for a great finale for the game, but sadly, 3 other levels top it. So let's do it. Because the reason these 3 final levels beat the prison is atmosphere and creativity. Because the prison, as amazing as it is at the final level, because you feel the dread, you feel the impending doom in the level, it's not the most... And luckily, it didn't give us any more inkling that Igor was in fact Igor. So, again, great final level that did not give away everything right from the get-go, which I do love. Next up, we're hitting the high roller suite with the Casino of Jealousy. Sai Nijima. Yeah, everyone who's a Persona fan, even though we love the main characters of the Phantom Thieves, we can't deny that Sai Nijima is silver hair goddess. I mean, look at her. Having pushed up so much pressure on her in order to get the Phantom Thieves crisis under wraps, she's even willing to threaten our boy Sojiro with charges of abuse on Futaba, and also manipulating the legal system in order to get her way, to win the game. Because, again, having a courtroom and a casino merged together works so well. And I know the game came out after Persona 5, but the fact that Psychonauts took that theme, but with a medical aspect, is genius enough. But the casino courtroom is even better. Justice for the highest winner. And again, the atmosphere of it is great. The fact that Sai sees us as players and not a threat, she comes down and meets us so quickly and basically says that play all the games and I'll see you at the top floor. Obviously, she cheats though throughout the games. So we got to break into the back and beat her in her cheating ways. And the fact that we cheat with the dice roll machine is so fun. I felt kind of like a god rigging these games. And I do love how it's the main floor and then the other games rooms that happen throughout the level. And I do love how some of them there's some method of cheat in every single game. It makes this level have that casino atmosphere. And even though it's not as demented or twisted as some of the other levels, it definitely has the absolute charm of having all these patrons. And then us having to manipulate Sai into seeing us as the players in the courtroom. That way she sees us in the perception of the palace so that we can advance further. I like how at least in one way or another we do that with the palaces. As the giant door being open in the museum, Kaneshiro allowing us in because we're his customers, Sai seeing us in the courtroom so she allows us in. Again, all the cheating ways in this casino is beautiful. I love the atmosphere of it. I love the whole feel of it. It just and then the boss fight on the giant roulette wheel, which again is rigged, and I love how we stop the cheating. It's just ironic that the Phantom Thieves are the ones who are trying to play fair, but this lawyer who seeks justice is nothing but a cheater. Also, I said boss fights don't incorporate anything, but look at Shadow Sai's outfit. God damn, they did something amazing. I'm wondering how many of my cosplay friends who play Persona 5 would do this. But overall, we rolled the dice, we played the slots, we won big with the casino. It's greatly designed, it's beautifully done, but again, 2 more outbeat it. And I think after this, you guys are going to be kind of surprised on it. If there is a level that easily personifies one of the 7 deadly sins in a very unique way, that even though it's unique, it's still, as you dive deeper into the level, it showcases the level of the height of how the sin is amplified. The Cruiser of Pride, the second to last level of the game, and the palace of the big orchestrated villain of the story, Masayasu Shido. I hope I pronounced that last name right. Sometimes if I don't hear a name for a while, I forget how to pronounce it, especially a name like that. But the fact that his palace is the Diet Building, which is essentially like a political building in Japan, it's so immersive of when we go into his palace, and it's the building on a giant cruise ship with the entire city of Japan flooded and underwater. This guy's pride knows no bounds, and not just in his mind, but in the actual way he treats everyone in the world. If you're not with him, you might as well be sinking. Anyone who he sees as value to him is on his ship. And that is pride personified to the extreme. From people of politics and influence attending his huge, I want to say, celebratory party that he's already won. I'm not going to lie, it's a fantastic theme. The interior having the corridors of the rooms and us being turned into mice, which incorporates more stealth mechanic, which I kind of wish was, I mean, yeah, there's stealth stuff in the game, but this one definitely makes it even worse, as in certain areas, we gotta be careful. In order to gain entrance into where the treasure is, we gotta go out and defeat so many of the people who, what's the word? Support Shido. And we do this in many, many different ways. From the girls kind of flirting with the guy, to Makoto using her influence as the police commissioner, and the guys basically saying that could be useful, to Yasuke using his artistic style to talk a Yakuza member into giving up the information for a tattoo design. Now, I'm not going to lie, his interpretation of a phoenix is actually pretty spot on. It's actually pretty cool. To all that and going throughout this the entirety of this cruise ship, even I said boss fights aren't a big part of my scaling factor, the fight with Akechi is one of the best moments in the series, because, oh my god, it's such a revelation and such an amazing aspect that it just heightens the whole dynamic of Akechi's character and his relationship with Shido, and his the whole climax with Shido is, again, stunning. Again, I know I don't talk about boss fights, but it has such a huge impact. From Shido just talking about how he'll keep Japan steady. He'll be the one to guide us. And I do love that we don't figure out what his palace is. If he wasn't so prideful, if he wasn't so full of himself and using his speeches, I will steer us in the right direction. I will keep us afloat. Yeah, you literally gave us the entirety of how to stop you. But I do love the scheme beforehand of how we faked our death and everything, so I do love it. Same thing with the casino boss, with the casino level. The fact that it was our first level, technically, and seeing the events that got us there definitely adds to these levels being near the top. The casino is there because it made us come full circle of the story, and Shido is, and the cruiser is the big epic moments with Akechi and Shido. And a little fact, in the main boss room, the Daruma doll aspect of the main room, how there are Daruma dolls all over the place. I know this because of Ink Master and looking it up. A Daruma doll is basically a Japanese figure where it's the doll, but the eyes are left blank. So basically, you fill in one eye when you set a particular goal, and you only fill the other eye once you've completed that goal. So it's a symbol of perseverance and to complete your goal. And as anyone knows, Shido will do anything to complete his goal. But the fact that in both cases throughout the level, the Daruma doll's eyes are both filled in, even though he hasn't won yet. So in Shido's mind, he has already won. So that's why the Daruma doll eyes are both filled, instead of one being filled and the other one left blank. So that just fully feels of Shido's ignorance, that he's already won no matter what's actually happening. Nothing else matters. His victory is all that matters to him. And just the moment, also, his shadow persona, having this dictator look, seriously, his look gives M. Bison a run for his money. And just the final realization that the one that has stopped all his plans, the one who has that has been doing the whole Phantom Thief thing that brought Shido a little bit of unease. The one that he sent to, the one that he got in trouble in the very start of the story, is the one that's ultimately being his downfall. Like I said, just like with the casino level, this level has that whole circle feel to it, and I do love it. It's the entirety of the level just has that atmosphere of pride and hubris. Okay, hubris is pride, so but you guys know what I mean. It just accentuates one's own ability to be so prideful, and it works perfectly. But in my opinion, there is only one persona level that is the best of the bunch. It incorporates the feel of the sin, the feel of the palace ruler. It gives a modern building such a twisted sense. It just has an artistic feel to it, despite its plagiarism. That's right. My favorite Persona 5 level is the Museum of Vanity. I'm going to be honest. It kind of feels a little cheap that they did this, because vanity and pride are the same thing. So we got the sin of pride twice. And it's kind of ironic that they're at the top 2 of the list. I don't know why they did that. I mean, anyway, Madarame, the amazing artist who has one of our best boys, Yusuke, as a pupil. I'm going to be honest. There are so many reasons why the museum is one of my favorite levels. Primarily is the getting to the museum. Finding out that the old shack that our supposed culprit lives in, it just goes to showcase how much people can hide their true selves. And once we get to this museum, it definitely has such an Art Deco artist twist in it, but at the same time, it doesn't have an artist twist to it. Because from the look of the building, from the outside, it's magnanimous. And to have the line of people waiting to get in to look at all the artwork just showcases how vain Madarame really is, of how he sees people should be seeing him. And then when we get to the inside the museum itself, we get to see the full depth of how vain he is. Having his old students on the wall as artwork. Basically saying that his pupils are his artwork, because he's the one who showed them how to use their talents, how to do all their work. So all their work, basically the pupil themselves, is his own artwork. And seeing throughout the rest of the whole thing of how vain he is, like from that metal statue that showcases that all of his pupils will give their talents and their creations to the god of art. And as we go further deeper, we definitely see a lot more of the inconsistency of Madarame, from how he sees himself to how he really is, to how he sees himself as this shogun-looking character. And I do love that they went with that, because instead of being like a snooty art person, they made him more into a Japanese-styled shogun ruling over the art world. And I do love that. And seeing all the, like, it's kind of funny for an artist having this museum. All the actual artwork in the entirety of it is kind of mediocre. Like, it's just a bunch of copy and paste stuff like different styles melding together as he's proclaimed that he knows how to do all types of art. And as we get down into the whole thing of it, in the room with the big paintings as we go through them, just showcases Matarame's unoriginality. And then that giant peacock door, I do like that that's where the boss fight is and not within the high section of the museum. Yeah, the courtyard. And then the part of trying to find the real Sayuri, which leads the way. I do like that. It's all about how only a true artist could see the discrepancies within the artwork. And I like that. And then the security area, which, again, one of the harder fights early game. It definitely lends itself to the level itself of being such an artistic museum. But again, it's a museum nonetheless. So we gotta steal the painting. And I love that little bit of we have to turn off the power source, turn off the lights, and lower Mona in order to steal the painting. I do love it. And then before the boss fight hits, like, there were some indicators of what was going to happen at the end of this fight or before the fight. And again, the whole plagiarism, abuse, stealing the Sayuri and making copies of it and selling it for extra profit. The highlight, the big highlight of this freaking level is before the boss fight. The part where Yosuke says that he knows that his master disposes of people when they're no longer useful. And it's revealed Yosuke's mother is the reason that she had a seizure in front of Madarame, and he let her die in order to get the Sayuri. And a byproduct of her was Yosuke and his amazing natural talent that he nourished in order to get more artwork. Okay, the confrontation between An, Ryuji, and Kamoshida was a great start-off point for the game. But the big fight between Madarame and Yosuke, if the anime did a little bit more with it and didn't kind of chop it up, it could have been like one of the best fight scenes in the anime. And in the tension in the boss fight still has that. So yeah, from an artistic standpoint, from a level design to build up of tension to progressing through Yosuke's whole kind of arc, the Museum of Vanity just has so much to offer in the start of the game, because this is only the second level. But for me, it's definitely the best Persona 5 Palace. And yeah, for those of you who are wondering, if I had played Royale and I watched it, I would have put Maruki. God damn it. I hate when I forget characters like that, because if I had to put him anywhere, I would put Maruki's Palace definitely over Mementos, but right underneath the Cruiser. So it would be definitely right next to the casino, because as cool as it was, it came in a little late for us to fully immerse ourselves within this laboratory clinic thing. But not gonna lie, it's still still great. And thank you for joining me for this video, guys. Let me see. Here we go. Like, comment, subscribe down below. I really hope you guys liked my list of the Persona 5 ranking. What do you guys think? Was I over the mark? Again, it's my opinion, but hope you guys enjoyed it. Join me next time, where our next top 13 list is something a bit of a special theme. If you can't figure out what it was from that alone, well, you'll be definitely surprised. This is Gamer K, logging out.